So as you know, I've been creating the process of intuitive guidance. This is a process that will help you to release old wounds, reintegrate lost parts, and reconnect with your true self. It holds to the idea that the body keeps the score, the idea that events of our past that are too overwhelming, too much to process at the time, are held in the body. And the basic premise is that we settle the nervous system down with some slow, calm breathing, scan the body to find those parts, and then get curious about them. The size, the shape, the movement, the edges, and then going deeper, allowing that part to express itself with words, with visualizations, with memories, basically trying to get it to open up and express and communicate. The idea being that we're developing or we're reconnecting with this part. And the more it trusts us, the more it will release. And in this process, we start to realize that the parts of the body hold on to certain things. And it holds on to things in typically one of four ways. These are adaptation responses. Stuff happens in the past and we respond to it to survive. We fight, we flight, we freeze, or we fawn. And if we have the support, the guidance, the care, and the connection, and the wisdom around us, we can process those feelings and release them. But most, if not all of us, didn't have that, or didn't have it enough when we needed it. So our body holds on to it, and then it wants to start sharing those feelings. It shares those feelings and the things that it's holding on to through chronic illness, through psychological disturbance, through blockages, through hang-ups, through a whole variety of things. And until we do a process like intuitive guidance to turn our attention to calm the nervous system down, to start listening to these parts, they stay stuck. But what I wanted to highlight in this talk is the fact that it stays stuck in one of four ways: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Because that's what worked for it at the time. Sometimes in response to stress, we fight back to get ourselves safe. Or we flee, flight, we run away from the situation. Or we freeze up, play dead, dissociate. Or we fawn, that is to try and appease, to try and fix, to try and shift ourselves to keep ourselves safe. Now in the past, and yes, still for some of us obviously, these are physical responses. We physically fight back, we physically physically freeze, or physically fawn. But oftentimes, given the chronic stress and pressures of the modern life, modern world, these fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses are a little bit less physically manifested, but more internally and sort of mentally manifested. We fight back with our words, either externally or potentially internally, turning it upon ourselves. We flee, we run, we don't make the phone calls, we don't have the hard conversations, we don't stand up for ourselves. Or we freeze up and just don't respond at all. We dissociate into addictions, into fantasy worlds. Or we fawn and allow ourselves to be the victim, allow ourselves to be used and abused. Maybe not to the extreme sense, but not enough, or we don't feel comfortable enough to fight back, to stand up for ourselves. If we can pay attention to the parts of our body, to the things they're holding on to, and getting an idea of whether we're in a state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and maybe you shift between them, but if we get an awareness of what we're typically in, or what these parts of the body are typically in, or how we shift between those states, and how the shifting between those states are no longer adaptive, no longer functional, we can start to release them. Because the thing is, these parts learnt that, perhaps in the past, it was best to flee. That kept us safe. So now when it faces a problem, we flee. Same thing's true for fight, flight, and fawn. We do what we did in the past to survive now, but it may no longer be adaptive. We may need to start standing up for ourselves, or we may need to leave the situation. We may need to appease people. We may need to freeze up. We may need to do any or all of those things, or we may now need to do none of them. The other side of things, the better response, these parts might be wanting to do something else. You can check in, you can go through the intuitive guidance process and ask the part of the body, What would you prefer to be doing? And often, to continue with the alliteration, it wants to be free. It wants to be feeling what is arising, and it wants to be in a state of flow. It wants to be playing. The good news is that the more you connect to these parts of the body, the more you allow them to speak, the more you connect with them, the more they'll trust that they are safe, that you are safe. You can ask this part of the body, how old do you think I am? How old are you? And when it reveals that it's a lot younger, because that's when whatever happened, you can say, hey, I'm this age. I'm far wiser, I'm far smarter, I'm far more knowledgeable, I've got more resources at my disposal. We can handle it now. I can handle it now. Let's take these steps together. Let's release. This is an offer, not a command. So you, in this process, connect to the part of the body, take some slow, calm breaths, identify if it's in flight, fight, freeze, or fawn, and then say, hey, would you like to release? Maybe start feeling what's actually arising now and get into a state of flow. Like I said, this process is intuitive guidance. It is something that I am working on developing and sharing, and there's a lot of depth to it. And this is just one of those aspects. Turn flight, fight, freeze, and fawn into free feeling and flow. With attention, with connection, with compassion, and with calm confidence. And I'll see you in the next session. Catch up.